All right. Hello, everybody. Are you all excited for the final? Well, not final in any reasonable way, but final for quite a while. A Higurashi console arc. Welcome back. So, last time we have finished Kageboshi, which was, for a lot of it, yeah, it was kind of really slow paced and not too much seemed to happen, but the ending was fantastic. Hello, OA. I love the ending of Kageboshi. I am doing great. Everything's great, OA. Thank you for asking. And here, this I was Void Dweller. The Higurashi break will be after Tokihogushi, because this one, Miyotsukushi Omote, is long, and I'm not gonna. I fear getting like too burned out on Higurashi. On the other hand, Tokihogushi is quite short. It should only be about three more streams longer than Tsukiotoshi. It's not very long, so. Yeah, the Higurashi break will be after this one. And, right after this one, we're going to do a couple of one-shots, some interesting things to kind of stall until the big thing that I've wanted to do for Chaos Head will be ready. And you guys are going to be really excited about that once that happens if you have any kind of interest in science adventure. Believe me, it's going to be worth the wait. It definitely will. So, without further ado, I don't need to fiddle with police case files anymore. Let's head to Tokihogushi. Untangling. This arc is the third in advanced story sequence. Okay, yep. It can be read after completing Somatsuchi, Kageboshi, and Sumiuraboshi. Okay. Interesting. So it's dealing with Sumiuraboshi stuff as well. And basically, this is, I guess, what the last thing you would probably want to read before the mystery starts being solved proper in Minagodoshi. In October 1982, Tomoe Minai is investigating a mysterious death that she believes is somehow connected to Reina Ryugu. Yeah, I had to read that twice there. I'm not used to seeing it spelled like that. So, interesting. This is taking place the year before. Let's see what happens. And it's connected to my baby girl, Rella! Oh my god! I hope it sticks with that plot. That sounds really interesting. If you speak of justice, the others will laugh at you. What a naive, helpless thing to say. If you speak of evil, the others will berate you. What a callous, cruel things to say. If you say nothing, everyone remains silent. So you should remain silent in the end. Frederica Berncastle. I hope I got the last line right, because it faded too quickly. And we start with Madoka, everyone's favorite magical girl / detective. After finishing her daily workload and making her way down the hall, she can hear someone else walking beyond a distant corner. Maybe that's Ses? It was just a hunch, but she stopped and listened more carefully. Then, she heard a faint but dignified sounding voice, greeting someone by saying, "Thank you for your hard work." As soon as she recognized her sister's voice, Madoka snapped her fingers and said, "Aha!" Now's a good time to say thank you, I guess? Before long, she noticed the signs of that person approaching the corner. Sensing an opportunity to catch her by surprise, Madoka lightly smiled to herself, then cleared her throat and took a breath. Hello, T. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for all the hard Madoka greeted her using the title she was finally starting to get used to. But as soon as she got a good look, she screamed. And then some of the officials who were walking and talking alongside her stopped and looked startled. What happened, sis? Why do you look like this? Come on, Mado. I mean, Minai-san. It's important for you to keep your private life separate from the workplace. This is no time to be saying something like that! What on earth happened to your clothes? How did you get so injured? Naturally, Madoka raised her voice as she said that. Because once she was standing face to face with the person she was waiting for, her sister Tomoe's dress and appearance looked positively frightening. Suffice to say, it was awful. Atrocious. One of her jacket sleeves was torn off, and the blouse below was torn as well. Not only that, but she could see several red cuts along the bare skin there, and scratches and welts too. Her hair was a mess. A red stain that was clearly blood was spread across her neck, and there was a bandage affixed near her mouth to stop the bleeding. Wow, jeez, what happened to her? On top of that, a tissue was packed into one of her nostrils. Sorry about that. Oh, I had some trouble. I was following a key witness related to a case, and somehow it led to a fight, resulting in this. Well, it's not as bad as it looks. I'm alright. This is a big deal! Your jacket is completely tattered! And there's still traces all over your arms and legs, you know? I wonder if workers' comp will cover it. Oh, forget about workers' comp! You should be worried about life insurance! First off, didn't you just tell me that last night that today's case will be something boring and safe? Huh? Then what on earth is this? Oh god, this is amazing. I love this. I hope that the rest of this arc keeps this kind of feel and energy. It was safe at the start. But something unexpected happened, so I had no choice but to use force. Okay? Whoops, it came out. One of her tissues fell out as she said that, and she caught it in one hand, the one hand still in good condition. The traces of blood beneath her nose looked stupidly painful. Oh, what an unbelievable sight! She was at her wit's end trying to deal with this woman. Although it could be biased speaking, Madoka thought her sister Tomoe definitely fit the bill to be called a beautiful woman. Her short trimmed hair gave her an androgynous impression, but compared to female analysts and corporate secretaries, her neat intellectual appearance couldn't help but attract attention, regardless of gender. Damn, I'll say, for sure. As a result, overreaching battlers God, did I just say battlers? Oh my god. This is not Umineko. As a result, overreaching bachelors among her superiors, subordinates, and even colleagues secretly aimed for her ever since she was appointed to this station. So many that they couldn't be counted on two hands. But despite that, Tomoe insisted on walking around in a shabby condition like this, like some kind of third-rate actor. If anyone had a crush on her saw her like this, They probably become disillusioned and might not even lose trust in women. Oh, come on.
俺は何も見ていない。
I didn't see anything.
何も見ていないぞ。
Damn, that guy actually does sound like my battler voice. I don't see anything.
夢だ。
This is a dream.
俺が今見ているのは夢なんだ。
Everything I'm seeing right now is a dream. Oh, come on. If you don't love her at her worst, you don't deserve her at her best. Feeling distraught, the men seem to be chanting some kind of Buddhist prayer while quickly making their escape. Hopefully that strange trauma doesn't taint their future perception of women. Pray for it.
まったくもう
Unbelievable!
いくら警部さんだからって女の身で犯人とやり合うなんて無茶というか自殺行為だよ。
Even if you're a chief inspector, isn't it unreasonable to fight criminals head on with a woman's body? It's suicidal!
水戸のご老公じゃあるまいし、警察手帳を見せたからって相手はひれ伏して抵抗をやめたりしないんだから。
You're like the elders in Mito. Your opponent isn't gonna give up because you flash a police badge.
ねえ、わかってる？
Okay? You understand?
わかってるわよ。水戸ってうっさいな。
Wonder what Mito is. I know that can be a person's name. I get it. And don't bring up Mito, okay?
今回のはたまたまだって言ってるでしょ。
I told you, this time it just happened by coincidence, alright?
しょっちゅうだったらたまんないわよ。
I can't take it if you keep this up!
ここは国連軍指定の紛争地域かっての。
What's next? A UN designated military conflict zone?
外国行ったこともないくせに。
I've never even been overseas.
ものの例えよ。
That's just an example! Then Madoka noticed Tomoe's detective partner standing behind her and turned to vent her anger at him.
にしても、ちょっと藤田さん。
And what about you, Fujita-san? Where the hell were you in that entire last arc? You were barely in it! Yeah, I know. No, blame the writer. Like, I thought we had a pretty cool thing going on in the beginning of Sushi, but apparently the writer said no, it's gotta be Akasaka, Uishi, and Tomoe until she dies. Anyway, hopefully things will be different this time.
あなたはこういう時のための静止役プラス護衛役でしょ。
Aren't you supposed to keep her in check and protect her at times like these?
なのに、ちゃんとしてくれなきゃ困りま。
But you can't even do that proper! I told you, it was the writer! Ali? But after yelling at him, something looked off about his expression, so she tilted her head to the side. The detective named Fujita quietly dropped his shoulders with a pale, completely exhausted look on his face, as if he had just returned from hell itself. Or rather, it seemed like he had so little presence here that he was liable to vanish at any moment.
藤田さん？
Fujita-san?
おーい。
Hey!
無駄よ。
It's useless.
今の藤田くん、死刑宣告よりも恐ろしい言葉を山のように食らって返事をしないただの屍状態だから。
Fujita-kun is in a near-death state at the moment. Even if you fed him a mountain of words, he would just sit there without responding.
はあ？
Huh? It was getting harder and harder to understand.
まあいいわ。
Well, it's alright.
とにかくこのまま課長のところに行くわけにもいかないし、ちょっと着替えてくる。
I can't see the section chief like this anyway, so I need to get changed. Hello, apparition. Welcome to the stream.
まどか、悪いけどそのゾンビくん、刑事一家まで連れて行ってちょうだい。
Sorry, Madoka, but would you mind escorting Zombie-kun here to the 1st Criminal Division's office?
よろしくね。
Thanks.
あ、ちょっと。
Wait! Hello, Jackie. Welcome to the stream.
行っちゃった。
And she's gone.
って自分こそ区別全然できてないじゃないの。
I didn't do anything to deserve this! While grumbling to herself, Madoka pulled out a police notebook and recorded the date, time, and place Tomoe just mentioned. Ever since Tomoe was reassigned to Kakuichi Station, she was very careful not to refer to her sister as Madoka during official duties. Perhaps Tomoe intended to use it as a countermeasure if they ever got into an argument, but there was no time for that.
それにしても
Anyway.
優子
Yuko, I need my wife.
俺が悪かったから許してくれ
It was my fault. Please forgive me.
本当に何があったのよ。
Okay, seriously? What happened? Madoka couldn't help but sigh at the completely unimaginable situation. I guess her sigh couldn't be helped. October 1982, quite different from all the others that take place after the disaster. Nearly 2 months had passed since Tomoe completed her training with the National Police Agency and transferred to Kakuichi Station. Tomoe's official title was 3rd Wide Area Subsection Chief of the 1st Division of the Chubu Region of the National Police Agency. Jesus Christ. An extremely long title, but in short, she was responsible for investigating cases involving multiple prefectures and areas within the Chubu region, coordinating and directing the activities of each prefectural police department involved. And within Kakuichi Station, she was appointed the title of Assistant Director. That put her at a higher position than the section chief of a mid-sized police station, which meant she had the 3rd highest rank here, just behind the chief and deputy chief, allegedly. However, almost everyone who saw her official title reacted by saying, "How unfortunate."
いくらなんでも扱いがひどすぎるんじゃないか。
Isn't that level of treatment completely unreasonable?
配属早々準キャリアのエリートさんを次長につけるなんて。
I can't accept some elite trainee from quasi-career class being assigned the title of assistant director so early in their career.
確かに修学旅行の行き先がウバステ山になったようなもんだからな
Absolutely. It's like learning the destination for a school field trip is some shabby mountain where they abandon elderly people.
After all, the title assistant director wasn't listed anywhere in the police regulations. It was invented to suit this particular purpose. It's not unusual for the National Police Agency to dispatch their executive candidates to small and medium-sized jurisdictions as part of their training. The goal is to help them advance their career by gaining valuable experience conducting real on-site investigations. However, even though the candidates in these cases are often knowledgeable, they tend to come with a strong sense of elitism, so they rarely know when to shut their mouths or accept discipline. On top of that, they have often engaged in passionate antagonistic speech and conduct to make themselves feel more important, which becomes a nuisance for those around them. Being bossed around by some young know-it-all can be fun for detectives with experience in the field. So instead of welcoming them with an open attitude, they scornfully refer to those candidates as school trip students behind their backs. Of course, the detectives on site embraced similar feelings toward Tomoe when she first arrived. Even though she was a beautiful young lady, they had an unfavorable opinion of her. However, once they heard stories about how Tomoe was assigned to the assistant director post, they couldn't help but sympathize and ask, "Aren't you pushing yourself too hard?"
次長って役職まだあったんだな。
I guess the assistant director title is still a thing.
この5年間ずっと空席だったからてっきり廃止されたと思ってたぜ。
I thought they abolished it since it's been vacant for the past 5 years.
6年だろ
Hasn't it been 6 years?
確か最後になったやつって堀口のじい様だったはずだからな
The last one was G. Horiguchi-sama, right?
そうだそうだ思い出した。
That's right, I remember now.
とりあえずラッキーで昇進試験受かって警部になったけど全然結果出せなくて課長補佐止まりで。
He was lucky enough to pass his promotion exam and become chief inspector, but I never had the results to go for section chief.
定年前の1年だけ箔付けについたって話だぜ。
And he earned the title just a year from retirement.
ああ、そういやあったな、そんな噂が。
Oh, I heard rumors about that.
実際、あの堀口のじいさんって、次長になってから毎日暇そうに机に座って新聞ばっか読んでたっけ？
Jeez.
The truth is, after G. Higurashi-san reached assistant director, he just sat at his desk and read the paper every day.
いくら使えないからって一日中やる仕事もないってのは見ていてちょっと気の毒だったな。
Considering how little work he did all day, it was depressing just watching him.
It wasn't an official position anyway, so it had no authority over the detectives within the station. And more importantly, it had no actual responsibilities. Jesus Christ. And on top of that, the role didn't command any subordinate detectives. It was an honorary position that simply left them hanging there.
いくら給料ただ取りでもあの次長職だけは俺はごめんだね。
No matter how much it pays, I can't help but pity anyone in the assistant director role.
それにしても一体どうしてこんな人事になったんだ？
Anyway, what on earth are the personnel administration folks thinking?
畑副所長の意向だよ。
It was an order from Deputy Chief Hata.
仮にも中央の幹部候補生さんに合うようなポストが課長補佐では低すぎるってのが理由だとさ。
I assume it was because the assistant second chief role would be too high for this executive candidate.
低いも何もだからって窓際に置くか普通。
Even if the candidate is too low for it, why not put her at the window seat like normal?
It's getting kind of wordy here, not gonna lie. Ordinarily, it's customary for a quasi-career group detective at the chief inspector level to be assigned a post supporting section chief of a criminal investigation. That is one whole sentence. Second chief of criminal investigation division. Indeed, when a case springs up requiring a wide area of investigators' involvement, there's a position that can give orders to everyone involved, even as high as the chief of the precinct. Although that only happens when an incident like that one occurs. Nevertheless, being placed in a position outside the norm is an unusual deviation, and seemingly driven by malicious intentions.
仕方ないさ。あの子って確か山沖所長直々の招聘って話だろ？
Right at the beginning! Alright! There we go!
It can't be helped! After all, she was invited directly by Chief Yamaoki, wasn't she?
ということは、副所長が早速目をつけて飛ばしたってことだよ。
That completely overrides the Deputy Chief's opinion.
またそれかよ。たく
This again, unbelievable.
こんな小さな警察署で何派閥作っていがみ合ってんだか。
How can such a small police station have factions infighting?
バカバカしくないのかね。
How ridiculous.
まったくだ。
Absolutely.
Even though they were thinking that, none of them were willing to stand up and oppose it. After all, getting involved would be like eavesdropping on someone else's affairs, and it would earn the ire of upper management. Tomoe will return to her former post at the National Police Agency as soon as the training period ends. In which case, there's no point fighting a righteous battle of justice. That was why everyone else simply watched from afar and didn't get themselves involved. Getting involved was taking a gamble on how it would play out.
で、あの修学旅行生さんはどう出ると思う？
So how do you think this school trip student will turn out?
ま、順当な線では中部管区局のお偉方に泣きつくんだろうな。
Well, I figure she'll go crying to the Chubu district station.
そんでその後はどこか別の署に配置換えになるって流れだろう。
Then after that, she'll get assigned to another station somewhere.
いや、それだとわざわざ研修出向で呼び寄せた所長のメンツが立たないぜ。
Well, why would the chief go to the trouble of bringing on a trainee?
俺はとりあえず何かの実績に便乗するまで長いバカンスだと思って適当に過ごすと思うけどな。
Oh, is this the third detective here?
I think it's an attempt to piggyback on some other achievement and on a nice long vacation.
現場で活躍することなんて上は求めてないんだからさ。
Nobody ever asked to take part in field work.
どうかな。キャリアウーマンってのはとにかく男社会に対して攻撃的で自意識過剰だからな。
I wonder about that. Career women sometimes feel self-conscious working in a male-dominated society.
ガンガン上にも下にもぶつかって盛大に空回りし続けるんじゃないか。
They have to keep pushing themselves through the highs and lows, right?
で、プライドがガタガタになって落ち込んでる彼女を慰めて口説いちまうってか？
So you're suggesting she needs comfort for her battered pride?
ドラマの見過ぎだっての。
Sounds like you've been watching too many dramas.
いいじゃねえか。
Fine then.
気は強そうだけどあの子結構レベル高いぜ。
That girl seems sharp, but at that high a level?
ま、そうでなくてもあの子を狙ってるやつ知ってるだけでも結構いるんだからな。
Well, plenty of guys have their eyes on her. I know that much.
誰が落とすか、それも見ものさ。
Who will get knocked down first? That's worth looking out for.
Ah, boy, jeez. But of course, the arbitrary predictions the detectives made were ultimately betrayed at a later date. Tomoe wasn't the pale-faced weakling they'd grown accustomed to from elite course members. And she wasn't a coward or willing to back down. She was elite in the truest sense.
あの小娘がまたお手柄か?
It's Okabe again! What are you doing in Higurashi, Okabe? Time travel is your gig, not dimensional travel.
That girl did another outstanding job, huh?
まったく腹の立つ話だな、小島君。
How obnoxious, right, Hideo Kojima-kun?
Oh my god, jeez.
So say I, the mad scientist!
おっしゃる通りです。
Indeed.
これはちょっと我々の想像を超えていましたね。
This is unimaginable.
想像も何も悪運が強いと感心しているだけだ。
I don't know about unimaginable. Just a major case of bad luck!
The section chief of the 2nd Criminal Investigation Division, Okabe, irritatedly leaned back into his armchair while sipping down his lukewarm tea. Standing at the ready beside him was his right-hand man, a shabby-looking flunky known as Deputy Section Chief Kojima. His true passion was game development, but he never told anyone. Kakuichi City has enjoyed accelerating population growth as a commuter town in recent years, thanks to the construction of the Kakuichi Airport, the largest in the Chubu region. The Kakuichi police station was in charge of all cases in the area, so the criminal investigation department had to be divided into two in order to manage the large quantity of cases and investigators. The 1st Criminal Investigation Division is headed by the mild-mannered Section Chief Yamamura. Is he secretly a superhero or something? And the 2nd Criminal Investigation Division has Section Chief Okabe Rintaro at the top. At the moment, the former is responsible for burglary and general enforcement, and the latter handles intelligence and violence cases. Although in a city of this size, it can be difficult to clearly distinguish the two. So in reality, their investigation activities compete with one another for territory, and the detectives belonging to each party despise those in the other party. They fight like cats and dogs. Jesus Christ. So that's why 2nd Division Chief Okabe Rintaro's mood would sour any time the 1st Division performed well.
今日捕まえたやつは例の密売グループの重要参考人という話じゃないか。
That guy they caught today is a key member of that smuggling group, isn't he?
これで先月に続いて今月も一家の奴らにでかい顔をされるな。
The folks in the 1st Division are going to have shit-eating grins this month, just like last month. So say I, Hoin Kyoma!
二課の連中は何をやっていた?
What were the people in the 2nd Division doing?
はい。
Oh, right.
二課の捜査員は今、先日県警本部が立ち上げた合同捜査本部のもろもろ雑用に駆り出されて、大半がかかりっきりになっています。
Right now, these investigators of the 2nd Division are supporting joint investigations, head by Fractional Police Headquarters.
God damn it, I can't do a Solid Snake voice. I'm sorry, I'm a girl. I can't do it. My Solid Snake impression is terrible.
We're just taking up the majority of their time.
それで他の捜査の処理が遅れていて。
Thanks to that, progress in the other investigations has been delayed. Thanks to Metal Gear.
なあ、分かった。もういい。
Right, I get it. That's enough.
Okabe bitterly spat the words out. When Prefectural Headquarters submitted a request for a joint investigation, he was the one who pushed for the 2nd Division to handle it in the first place, hoping to earn extra points in the process. So hearing that delay in their proceedings was ultimately his fault. Only worsened his mood.
一課は今月だけで3件、県警本部でも未解決だった重要事件の解決に貢献しています。
Just this month, the 1st Division had contributed to the resolution of 3 major cases that Prefectural HQ couldn't solve on their own. I better get the Colonel on the line.
現行犯逮捕を本部の刑事たちに譲って、実績に残らない事件については確認できるだけでも4件。
And there were another 4 cases where detectives had apprehended criminals and handed them over to HQ, even if the incidents weren't directly resolved. They clearly didn't follow the basics of CQC.
おかげで機動捜査隊の早見隊長などは彼女のことを姫と呼んで相当に目をかけているそうです。
Thanks to that, Captain Hayami of the Mobile Investigation Team. Metal Gear. I've been watching that woman closely. He even started calling her Princess.
姫か。
Princess, huh?
バカバカしいほどご体操な呼び名だな。
What a ridiculous nickname! Nothing like Hoin Kyoma!
それだけ実力を認めているということだと思います。
I think it's his way of acknowledging her capability.
実際県警の堂島課長は非公式ではありますが山沖所長に彼女の捜査一課での引き受けを本気で打診したとのことで。
In fact, Section Chief Dojima from Prefectural HQ unofficially contacted Chief Yamaoki, asking about hiring a female investigator from the 1st Division.
酒の席での社交辞令だよ。
That's just lip service at the drinking table!
それを聞いていた噂好きが面白おかしく誇張して広めただけだ。
Simply spreading strange, exaggerated rumors!
それほど県警本部は人材不足というわけではないしな。
Besides, Prefectural HQ has no shortage of talented staff.
Although, if she kept at the current pace, she was likely to receive an investigation to Prefectural Police Headquarters after training. Even if it was just lip service, it was proof that her work had attracted their attention. Plus, even though Okabe mentioned luck earlier, there was no denying she had the skills to back it up. She was definitely one of the most talented people here. After all, her father was a well-known officer at the Metropolitan Police Agency's Public Security Division, respected by superiors and subordinates alike, Detective Yusuke Minai. He lost his life in a fire 11 years ago, but his will lives on in his daughter Tomoe.
Does it live on through his arm?
No, it doesn't.
Damn.
Her time as an officer earned the attention of her father's former bosses and colleagues, including some powerful people. She also passed her promotion tests with top marks every single time, and she majored in psychology and did language studies at a national university, so she was capable of fluently expanding investigation policies to others, fluently explaining. Additionally, she kept herself busy writing numerous papers on improving investigation methodology. Prefectural police staff always assessed her well when reporting back to the National Police Agency. She was a gifted woman. In fact, her exceptional evaluations alone were enough to carry her through national tests. She was on the quasi-career path. But if she had taken the national test on the career path, she would probably be serving as a police bureaucrat by now. That's true. I did give him the Zipar voice. Apparition, you're right. In other words, the only bottleneck in Tomoe's career advancement was the fact that she was a woman. Beyond that, there was nothing mysterious about her success.
推薦組の肩書きは伊達ではなかったわけだ。
So maybe the recommended group title wasn't just for show.
The National Police Agency trained specialists in the recommended group, went through the handpick from jurisdictional officers, the so-called quasi-career path. Tomoe making it through that narrow grade at such a young age caused a scandal, since it essentially promised a promotion to the role of police inspector. Damn, we are getting a lot of exposition here. But Okabe had a completely different outlook, since he believed the police should promote people after years of service, regardless of how hard they work, and give them a warm reception at retirement. Because of his time machine.
近い将来、あの小娘を上司に会うことになるのか。
I guess I should ask the boss about that little girl soon.
Thinking about it made him feel downhearted. The police force is an organization where academic background and starting position matter more than performance and experience. And when it comes to personnel administration, career advancement is often determined more by political factions and power relations. In fact, Tomoe received a major boost for attending Kashima University, following the advice of other alumni. As a result, Okabe was unable to set aside the jealousy from his inferiority to this blessed little girl. He was deeply frustrated.
メス取り歌えば家滅ぶというが、世も末だな。
They say a house falls when the hen knows crows louder than the cock, so the world may be at its end.
若い小娘が大きな顔で桜の大門を振りかざすようでは、警察の威厳も落ちたというものだ。
The dignity of the police department has fallen if a wide-eyed little girl is fit to bear the Sakura emblem of the police force. My god, I'm such a sexist asshole.
そうは言いましても、実績を上げているのは確かです。
But Colonel, my god, be that as it may, there's no denying a proven track record.
うちの二課の連中でさえ、南次長の見識と手腕は今までの修学旅行生とは違うと申しております。
Even among our 2nd Division staff, they say that Assistant Director Minai's skills and insights far surpass those of a typical school trip student.
それは私に見る目がなかったと言いたいのか?
I wonder if she has soldier genes. Do you want to look me in the eyes and say that?
いえ、そういうことでは。
No, Colonel. I didn't mean it like that.
あくまでも現場の連中がそう漏らしていたという話で。
That's just what I overheard from people at the last crime scene.
Kojima got flustered and started making excuses after Okabe scornfully glared at him. He was normally a completely agreeable fellow, but the things he said here were cause for concern. Yeah, they were. Holy shit. Chief Yamaoki came here from Central 1 year ago, and clearly was on bad terms with Deputy Chief Hada, who is a local rising through the ranks. Rumors allege that personnel staff aggressively pushed to have Yamaoki transferred here from his former post as public security, which completely eliminated Hada's chances at becoming the next chief. In And from then on, the police department was clearly divided into two factions, with Okabe and the 2nd Division's detectives supporting the deputy chief's faction, and the General Affairs and Transportation Divisions supporting the chief's faction. Meanwhile, the 1st Criminal Division, headed by Section Chief Yamamura, tried to stay out of the faction wars and place themselves in the neutral faction. But Hada was still worried that they would lean towards the chief's faction at some point in the future. As a result, he was staunchly opposed when the chief proposed assigning Tomoe a post at Kakuichi Station, assisting the section chief of the 1st Division.
やはりいくら優秀でも若年に加えて女性ですからな。
After all, no matter how exceptional she may be, she's still young and a woman.
個性派で職人気質の連中を従えるには身が勝ちすぎていると思いますが。
I think individuals with a strong work ethic are assuming too heavy a burden.
And so on. He continued rattling off reasons. However, Hada believed Tomoe to be a member of the Chief's faction, so his real intention was to separate Tomoe from the 1st Division and stop Chief Yamaoki from expanding his influence. My god, what is this, Game of Thrones Police Edition? Jesus Christ. Jeez, someone called the fucking Lannisters and over here. Although Okabe was also opposed to transferring her to the 2nd Division, even if that would place her into the Deputy Chief's faction. My god, this is a huge info dump here. Jesus Christ. That was because her abilities were still unknown, her experience was thin, her activities could cause problems, and it was ultimately a big risk. He was concerned that her assessment could prove troublesome for him, because he was certain she would evaluate poorly. As a result, Hada strongly campaigned for Tomoe to be given the honorary assistant director post. A do-nothing position intended to keep her out of the way.
ここまでは良かった。
Up until then, everything was good.
However, Hata and Okabe miscalculated. They thought Yamamura was neutral, but he suddenly invited Tomoe to serve as the chief of special affairs within the 1st Division, delegating her investigative authority. Jesus Christ. My god! Is this story going to be like about like freaking factional wars within the police station here at Kakuichi Station? Like compared to this, like Uishi's police station is like very normal and stuff. This is like freaking World War III here. We're gonna have to get Daenerys in from Tokyo Police Division to just come in with her dragons and settle this all at one point. Incidentally, the title of Chief of Special Affairs is a specially appointed role, originally intended for experienced police officers to serve as an advisor to the section chief on a part-time basis, allegedly. However, the role was originally designed to be given to retirees, so very few active duty police officers have been given the position at all.
何でも見ない警部は欧米式の捜査手法についていろいろと知識がおありのようですから。
I'm told Chief Inspector Minai is in knowledge of various Western investigation methods.
現場の連中にもその実行がどんなものかを実際に学ばせるいい機会だと思います。
I think this is a good opportunity to let our people in the field learn how effective they can actually be.
But as a result, he completely withdrew from investigation activities and essentially retired from the front lines, leaving Tomoe as the effective leader of the 1st Division. Damn, this really is Game of Thrones. Tomoe is like Jon Snow here. Yamamura was carrying out an outright act of rebellion against the likes of Hata and Okabe, whose disgustingly uptight personalities were quick to harass these school trip students. However, that decision proved the efficacy of Tomoe's behavioral analysis investigation methodology in no time at all. Consequently, the First Division's performance improved remarkably within just a single month. Even Yamamura was astonished by how much the results exceeded his expectations.
それならばむしろ二課へ取り込んでおくべきだったな。
If only she had joined the second division! Then I could take credit for all her achievements.
He bitterly lamented the mistake he had made back then. If Tomoe had been assigned to the second division, the department would have had an excellent assistant for the section chief, rather than a man like Kojima who blindly followed orders and was too busy working on his video games. Their evaluations would have been completely reversed. And if even that wasn't the case, he would have had the power to limit her actions. But Okabe also understood the folly of looking at things in hindsight.
それにしても岡部課長。
Anyway, Section Chief Okabe.
なんだ
What is it?
いや、ずっと不思議に思っていることなんですが。
Well, there's something I've been wondering all this time.
南井次長と山沖所長はどうしてあんなにもいがみ合っているのでしょうか。
Where is his Assistant Director Mina and Chief Yamaoki so tightly knit?
常識的に考えても所長派であればあの言動は。
Thinking about it logically, even if she were a member of the Chief's faction, her speech and conduct is...
そんなもの単なる周囲へのパフォーマンスだよ。
That's merely an act for the people around her.
なんせあの小娘の妹は
In particular for her younger sister.
Achoo! My god, I swear we had like a freaking metric ton of exposition go by while I was sick. After changing clothes and walking down the hallway, Tomoe held her hand to her nose and sneezed. As soon as she did, the remnants of her earlier nosebleed came out, and the smell put a frown to her face.
誰か噂してる?
Is someone talking about me and analyzing everything going on in the station? Tomoe suddenly shook her head for saying something so ridiculous. One of her defining principles was not to believe in superstition.
ただいま。
I'm here.
あ、おかえりなさい。
Oh, welcome back! As Tomoe opened the door to the break room, Madoka got up from one of the seats and called out to her. Was she ready to head out for the day? She was already dressed in civilian clothes.
こら、マドカ。
Hey, Madoka.
制服未着用で警察の関係施設を利用するのはご法度よ。
You know it's illegal to conduct work at a police facility when not in uniform.
やれやれ。入ってくるなり第一声がそれですか。
Sheesh, yada yada. That's the voice thing you say after walking in.
こっちとらわざわざサービス残業までして藤田さんの愚痴に付き合ってあげていたというのに。
And even after I put in overtime to deal with Vegeta-san's grumblings. Madoka shrugged her shoulders and bitterly smiled as she said that. Her face looked fatigued, so it seemed reasonable for her to be agitated.
そういえば、当の藤田くんは?
Speaking of Vegeta-kun, where is he?
ああ、とりあえず帰るって。
Oh, he headed for home for now.
帰ってとにかく土下座でも何でもして奥さんに謝るって。
Oh my god! He said he needed to kneel down and apologize to his wife.
まったく。
Unbelievable.
だったらせめて一言くらい言ってから帰りなさいっての。
At least say a few words to me before heading home. God damn it, if that boy wasn't married, I fucking swear.
とばっちり食らわせた後だから顔合わせづらいんでしょ。
Whatever happened, he was looking at me like a total stranger.
とりあえず次長には謝っておいてって繰り返してたよ。
Anyways, he kept repeating, apologize to the assistant director.
気持ちはわかるけどさ、あんまりいじめちゃダメじゃない。
I understand how you feel, Buffy, but you can't push him around that much.
いじめてないわよ、まだ。
I haven't pushed him around. Not yet. At least until he leaves his wife. Well, the truth is, she intended to say that a bit sarcastically, but Fujita's depression made it hard to lash out at him full demon style.
まあいいか。余裕なかったんだろうしね。
Well, I suppose it's fine. There's no time for it anyway. And he's married. Tomoe bought a can of coffee from the vending machine while muttering that to herself. God damn, I swear, freaking messing around with my adorable police love story. Ugh. She immediately pushed the hot button before remembering that it was already autumn.
まどかもいる？
You want one too, Madoka?
この後外食なんだけど、まあいっか。
Huh. You know, I'm gonna out to eat after this, but, well, why not? As Kaleido says, there's never a bad time for a coffee.
ウーロン茶冷たいやつね。
But I'll have an oolong tea to Spider. Cold.
はいはい。
Sure thing. Tomoe inserted a coin and pushed the button for oolong tea. Once the sound of the falling can rang out, she grabbed the can and tossed it with a flick of her wrist.
お金は？
Whoa! Oh, what do I owe you?
いらないわよ。
Don't worry about it, we're sisters.
ま、私からの残業代ってことでどう？
Well, consider it payment for making you work overtime.
あの泣き言を延々聞かされた代価がこれってのはちょっと納得いかないんだけどな。
Well, I can't say this is a fair price for the endless whining I had to endure. Madoka pulled the tab as she said that, then chugged 2 big gulps. The cold sensation across her throat felt comforting.
にしてもまあ、お姉ちゃんの災難だね。
Well, anyway, you look like a disaster too, sis.
まさか藤田さんと一緒に張り込みしているところを浮気現場と間違えられるなんてさ。
They keep teasing it! They know! They know that Tomoe and Fujita would just make the most adorable couple if Fujita wasn't married. Oh my god. Seriously. I wouldn't be surprised if someone thought you and Fujita-san just got back from the local hookup spot.
何やってたの？
What the hell were you doing? If only we got back from the local hookup spot. But he's married!
別に変なことはしてないわよ。
Nothing weird happened. Unfortunately.
ちょっと周りの騒音がひどかったから耳元に顔を寄せて話してたのが、つまり。
It was awfully noisy nearby, so I had to lean my face close to his ear to talk to him. That's all it was. Fucking hell. That would have been so fucking adorable and romantic if he just wasn't married.
キスしてるように見られたってわけね。
But it looked like a kiss. That's something there.
なんとまあお約束な。
What about your promise? Even hearing it again, it was a ludicrous story. Oh my god! Yes, we're back to this! This is what I wanted! Alright! I really hope it stays like this. Can this one be about Madoka, Tomoe, and Fujita together? Because that would be great. That would just be fucking great. Recently, his wife had started to become suspicious of him, saying he was working overtime and coming home late. So she started following him. Well, that didn't seem like such an unusual thing for a jealous woman to do. However, she pushed herself into the secret meeting place at a coffee shop, which was actually a stakeout, and released her full fury onto— oh my god! Why didn't we get to see that scene? Why didn't we get to see this scene? That would have been an incredible scene. I would have easily taken this over the freaking Game of Thrones shit at the police station, which won't even matter probably too much because none of those people had sprites. Jesus Christ. I would have loved to see this scene. Oh my god! Oh my god! And released her full fury at Tomoe based on the misunderstanding that she was his mistress. Naturally, Madoka was amazed. Oh my god! It would have been nice to get an explanation for stooping to such measures.
藤田さんの奥さんってやきもち焼きっていうかすごい人みたいだね。
Fujita-san said his wife was a jealous woman. Extremely so.
なんでもそんなきつい人と一緒になろうって思ったのやら。
Why did he have to get paired with someone so clingy? I ask myself that every goddamn day.
小学校からの幼馴染らしいわよ。
Apparently they were old friends from elementary school. Goddamn childhood friend tropes. Urgh.
それとその言い方はやめなさい。
And stop bringing it up. It just makes me depressed.
あんただって他人のことが言えるわけ？
Do you have to keep telling other people?
おっといけねえ。
Oh, my bad. Madoka quietly backed off when she noticed her jab cut deeper than expected. After all, as far as the public was concerned, Madoka's partner was even more surprising. Yup.
で、喫茶店で激しい口論となり、修羅場劇となったところで、重要参考人が偶然喫茶店を訪問。
Then an intense argument broke out at the coffee shop. All hell broke loose because a key witness just happened to be visiting that coffee shop.
そしてうっかり張り込み中だと藤田さんが口にしたのを聞かれて、刑事がいるとバレて逃げられた。
And then Fujita-san carelessly let the word stakeout slip out, so the witness realized that detectives were present and ran away.
そのまま追っかけっこの始まり。
Which caused the chase to break out. Why couldn't we get this scene? How awesome would this be as an opening scene to this story? Come on! Are you serious? You're just gonna have Madoka tell us this? Seriously? Is the Game of Thrones shit at the police station really that important? That we couldn't get this scene to open the story? Damn! Apparently they still like the scene because they're having Madoka describe it in such detail.
さすがに引っ込みがつかなくてね。
Naturally, we couldn't let him escape.
このまま逃げられたら絶対警戒されて証拠物も隠滅される可能性があったし。
He was an especially cautious individual, so there was a high probability he would destroy evidence if he managed to get away.
一か八かだったけど。
We had to take the chance.
さらっと流すなよ。
You couldn't let him go? Madoka dejectedly drooped her shoulders. As usual, she couldn't take a joke. Still, Tomoe came out ahead on that risky bet. Oh, good for her. The witness drew a knife while trying to resist, so that violation of the Swords and Firearms Control Law allowed him to search his pockets, and as luck would have it, they found a business notebook and evidence among his belongings. Okay, so all's well that ends well. Except for Fujita. They later found out that he was stopping at the coffee shop to make a call on his way to meet a business partner. Although Prefectural Police HQ already had a head start on the case, handing the culprit over hastened the resolution of a big-name drug trading operation.
でもその頃藤田さんは地獄だったんだって。
But Fujita-san was going through hell at the time, wasn't he?
どんな感じだったの？
How was he taking it?
戻った時には奥さんはいなくて藤田くんは床に体育座りしてたからな。
When I came back, his wife was already gone, and Fujita-kun was sitting on the floor with his arms around his knees.
マスターの話だとお決まりのあなたを殺して私は逃げるが始まっていたらしいわよ。
The manager said the incident started with a routine. I'll kill you and run.
私も死ぬの間違いでしょ。
Wait, well, wouldn't that end up more like I'll die too?
逃げてどうするのよ。
What would he even do if he escaped? She unceremoniously threw that out, then let out a heavy sigh. That was Fujita being Fujita and Sis being Sis. It was all just speculation, but Madoka could understand how both of them were thinking. Indeed, if you saw your husband having a good time with another woman, you'd inevitably fall into a panic and feel self-conscious.
古風な考え方のくせに自分が美人だって自覚が全然ないからな。
But that's an old-fashioned way of thinking. There's no point in feeling self-conscious about your looks, even though just like an hour ago, I was making her feel self-conscious about her looks, that no one would ever like her because she was showing up here all beaten up. Her sister Sin was failing to recognize how good she actually looked. That's why she can never imagine herself getting caught up in matters of love. Oh, there's a typo right here. Should be in right there. If only she would recognize herself a little better as a woman.
にしてもよく捕まえられたよね。
Anyway, you did capture the guy.
犯人って元陸上の県代表だったんでしょ？
The culprit was a prefecture-wide track and field competitor, right? Damn.
陸上って言うなら私だってそうよ。
Yeah, I did track and field too, you know.
しかもこっちの方が年は若くて持久力もあるんだからね。
And I still have the endurance of youth.
走り高跳びと持久力って何か関係あったっけ？
But you competed in high jump! How does that have anything to do with endurance?
冗談よ。
It's a joke.
さらっと流しなさいっての。
I couldn't let him get away.
お姉ちゃんのジョークは分かりにくいんだよ。
Sis, your jokes are hard to understand. As she said that, Madoka was too embarrassed to tell her sister. She expected as much. It would be impossible for an ordinary detective to track down and catch a perpetrator with intimate knowledge of the area who was capable of breaking through a blockade. And when a retreating opponent draws a military knife, it would be absurd to fight them off completely barehanded, not even armed with a baton. But she apprehended him anyway. It was amazing. I wish we could have seen it.
だからといって見習う気にはなれないけどね。
But that's not an example I can follow. Indeed, Sis was Sis, and Madoka was Madoka. Her sister probably felt the same way. She couldn't impose her values about police duties on others. Madoka was thankful for that.
ところで、
By the way.
さっき今夜これから外食だって言ってたわよね。
A little while ago, you mentioned that you were going out to eat tonight.
相手は誰？
With who? Oh, god damn it, Madoka! You did it again! 2 timelines in a row!
まさか一人で食べる
There's no way
わけないよね、あんたが。
that you'd be eating alone. Oh, what a ridiculous notion! Oh, God. What's my attraction to the silver foxes? She awkwardly laughed while shining herself deep inside her heart. As expected of the shrewd, best-in-class princess of Kakuichi Station, a trifling misstatement could cost you your life.
そのね
That's, well, you know.
だから
So, anyway, you know, that vending machine just says drink message on it. What's up with that? It looks really weird and unfinished. Haven't noticed that? I think that's a really much better topic of a discussion other than, you know, who I may or may not be eating with, allegedly.
言っておくけど、嘘を言ったら怒るわよ。
Go ahead and tell me. But if you lie to me, I'll get upset, okay?
本当のことを言ったら
But what happens if I tell the truth?
場合による。
That depends on the circumstances.
ただし、ある条件については無条件に怒る。
There are certain circumstances that would make me upset regardless.
いやその
Well, Madoka was confident that the current situation fit into those certain circumstances, so she darted her eyes back and forth, stuck in place, unable to tell the truth or a lie. Enough. It was time for them to tell one another how they felt. Oh
とりあ
God.
えずうまい言い逃れの方法を
Vanille, a good way to escape.
あるわけね
It's simple! She tried to think of the name of another colleague, anyone appropriate, but she quickly gave up on that idea. She had used that trick before, and things turned sour the next day. Tomoe was unreasonably upset. If this was anything like that case, Madoka would deeply regret it later on.
お姉ちゃん誤解してるよ
It's all just a misunderstanding.
本当普段はああだけど全然悪い人じゃないんだから
Seriously, it's totally normal. Not a bad person. Very respectable.
そりゃもう今晩行くところだってきちんとしたところで
And we're going to a nice place tonight. Oh God, Madoka. Please, whatever you say, don't tell me it's another old guy. Listen, I can't help it, okay? Don't kink shame me! No good. No matter what she said, it was useless. With that in mind, Madoka was already thinking about what she should say to apologize to her partner, Yamaoki, who's already waiting for her.
ま、いいわ。
Well, that's fine. Huh? Oh, thank God! But surprisingly enough, Tomoe was unusually conciliatory and didn't pry any further. After that reaction, Madoka turned and stared blankly in her direction. How are you doing on time?
なんなら近くまで送って行ってあげようか。
If you like, I could take you there.
いやそれはいいけどっ
No, that's not necessary.
ていうかその行ってもいいの
But are you saying you're okay with me going?
いいも何も、もう予約しているんでしょ。
Whatever, it's fine. You already have a reservation.
もったいないし、行ってきたら。
Wouldn't it be wasteful not to go?
うん
Huh? Oh, yeah.
そうするね
Then I'll go. Okay? As she nodded, Madoka gazed at Tomoe not with partial trust, but full-blown suspicion. It was weird. She was unusually understanding, extremely so. It was well known within the station that Tomoe was fiercely opposed to Madoka's engagement to Chief Yamaoki. Oh, so she already knew. Okay. Earlier, she got into an argument with the Madoka inside the chief's office and made a huge uproar, ranting and saying things like, thinking about his age, he's a senile old man!
普通の警察署なら間違いなく懲戒食らってるよね。
If this was an ordinary police station, she would have been reprimanded. And with that in mind, somehow, Madoka felt like acting on Tomoe's words would be falling into a trap. She felt anxious.
お姉ちゃん、
Sis,
分かってるよね。
you understand, right?
今日一緒に行くのってカオルさんなんだけど。
The person I'm going out with today is Kaoru-san.
だから
So,
いやだから
no, I mean, what could she do? She had absolutely no idea if this conversation was a trap. Should she accept it at face value and thank her for her trust before going? Or maybe...
何深読みしてるのよ。
Why are you reading so deeply into this?
私は普通に行ってらっしゃいと言ってるの。
This is where I normally say take care.
え？
Huh? Tomoe let out a sigh and turned to Madoka. Then she shrugged her shoulders and gently fiddled with the empty coffee can in her hands and spoke up.
まあいくら姉妹でも他人の恋愛に口を出すのってみっともないしね。
Well, even if we are sisters, it's shameful to speak ill of another person's romantic life.
言いたいことは言ったつもりだし、あとはあんたの見る目に任せるわ。
I've said what I want to say, and I'll leave the rest to your judgment.
それ
Really?
結婚に関してはともかく、交際のことはこれ以上私は何も言わない。
When it comes to your marriage, I won't say anything more.
応援はさすがにしたくないけど、邪魔もしない。
I'm not exactly cheering you on, but I won't get in your way.
結局最後はまどか次第だもんね。
In the end, this is your decision to make, Madoka.
お姉ちゃん
Sis! A gleeful smile spread across Madoka's face, and she struggled to hold back the tears welling up in her eyes. If anyone else heard that, it probably wouldn't have been a big deal. But still, this was the first time Tomoe ever showed a positive attitude towards their relationship. Of course, it was a rather sudden development, and she was still baffled. Plus, she didn't understand what inspired this change in her sister. But she was thankful to hear her say it, and she was glad.
じゃあ行ってくる。
Then I'll get going!
ありがとうねお姉
Thanks.
ちゃん。
Thank you, says.
あ、まどか、
Oh, Madoka.
何？
What is it?
ううん、なんでもない。
No, it's nothing.
いってらっしゃい。
Take care. Yup! Then Madoka left out of the break room in a quick pace.
また聞けなかった。
Again, I couldn't ask. She sank deep into the cheap armchair, leaned back, and looked up at the ceiling. The flickering fluorescent lights flashed the shadows of the bugs flying near the lights. Even though it should be hot enough to burn them, they couldn't defy their instinctual attraction to light. Tomoe bitterly smiled as she watched that, then let out a heavy sigh.
悪い人じゃないか。
「 not a bad person, huh?
知ってるわよ。あんたよりも長いんだから。
I've known that even longer than you. As Madoka already knew, Tomoe had known Yamaoki for even longer than her. If Madoka knew him for 2 or 3 years, Tomoe was acquainted with him for roughly double that. They were acquainted before she even became a police officer.
だからこそなんだけどな。
That's why. But even so, the difference in age was still acceptable. There were various circumstances making her feel hesitant, but she could be convinced. But were the rumors whispered about her and Chief Yamaoki actually true, or an unfounded lie? Even now, Tomoe was worried that the truth had eluded her this whole time.
姉の出世のために所長をたぶらかしたか。
Was she only pursuing the chief to help advance my career? The explanation seemed absurd, but Tomoe wasn't confident enough to disregard it. In reality, Tomoe was chosen for the National Police Agency's recommended group from her post in Ibaraki last summer. Additionally, Yamaoki was appointed as chief of Kakuichi Station, and Madoka was introduced as a police officer last spring. It would be odd not to suspect circumstances like that. The details were rather persuasive.
でも実際のところはどうなんだろう。
But I wonder how much truth there is to that. Did Madoka truly pursue Yamaoki for his sister's sake? I don't think so. And in response, Yamaoki convinced upper management to choose her for the recommended group. There were certainly clues pointing to the truth, but Tomoe hadn't heard it from the two of them directly, and her suspicions were still a bit too baseless to ask them herself. And so, she alone was being swayed by the rumors.
そもそもなんでマドカは警察官に？
Why did Madoka even become a police officer in the first place? When Madoka first announced she was going to be a police officer, Tomoe was delighted to learn that her sister was taking her career more seriously. But after hearing these rumors, she was starting to feel the complete opposite. Tomoe had a prejudiced view of Madoka from working at a cabaret club before she became a police officer. And when it was later revealed that she was in a relationship with Chief Yamaoki, the whole thing was cast in a curious light. By simply thinking it through, she didn't need to become a police officer to buy the chief's favor. By simply thinking it through, she didn't need to become a police officer by buy the chief's favor. Instead, it must have been something much larger and more illicit. She had to understand that she would be criticized and reproached if it was exposed, So why did you become a police officer?
まあいっか。
Well, whatever. Tomoe had always been unable to comprehend Madoka and Yamoki's relationship, so she constantly pushed back against it. She only recently came to realize that Madoka truly did have feelings for Yamaoki. That's honestly a big surprise for me, too. I would have thought she had an ulterior motive. In which case, all she could do was tell her sister everything. There was no choice but to believe the rumors weren't true and to watch over the girl and her lover.
恋人か。
Her lover, huh? She suddenly muttered that to nobody in particular. Several men had confessed to Tomoe back when she was a student, and even after joining the police force. But even though she had been in several relationships, she never had a truly deep relationship with anyone, even today. It wasn't that she hated men or was hard to deal with. She just never had a yearning for someone she could confidently say was love. Damn, I love the setup we're getting here. So much about romance already. This is amazing. But there was something more important to Tomoe than that. A serious purpose that couldn't escape her mind, even while she was interacting with the people around her.
だからあの子には幸せになってもらいたい。
So I want her to be happy.
私の分まで。
So I want her to be happy. Happy enough for the both of us. She was certain she couldn't move forward until she settled the past. But she wanted her sister to go on living, thinking of the future. It may have been a selfish wish, but there was no obligation for her to choose the same way of life as her sister. Tomoe looked down from the ceiling and opened the desk drawer, then pulled out a file from inside. Inside was a polyethylene storage bag containing the carefully separated pages of a notebook. And that was the only clue Tomoe's father, Yusuke Minai, left behind. Are we going to learn more about that? "11 years ago, 1971. Sunday. 3 weeks had passed since the fire that killed her parents and tore her sister's heart apart. Oh wow, we're getting a big flashback here. Tomoe was discharged from the hospital after recovering from her mental and physical injuries and returned to the burned remains of her home. With the permission of the police, she walked through the gate and stepped into the scorched garden. Tomoe looked at the house while desperately trying to suppress the crushing anguish she felt about the incident. Tomoe and Madoka's room was supposed to be on the second floor, but it had already collapsed, leaving only the remains behind. Oh God, that is so sad. There was a single sandal remaining on the balcony, probably belonging to their mother who used to sunbathe there. The clothespins were deformed from the heat and lying strangely on the ground. Her father's only pleasure, his do-it-yourself carpentry shed, was leaning precariously. The persimmon trees she had planted together with her mother were extinguished before they could even bear fruit once. The fire was caused by arson. Her father didn't smoke, and she was confident that her perfect mother would never accidentally cause a fire. So the impact upon reaching that conclusion was immeasurable. Her clenched fists trembled. Burning, suspicious-smelling air rose up from the back of her throat. Why? Why did she have to suffer through this? But the happiness of her everyday life was burned to ash in an instant. She absolutely had to find out why. Urgh. The inside of her eyes were burning hot. The high-pitched ringing in her ears pierced inside her head, and her consciousness started to feel distant. Hatred. Regret. She wanted to kill that person who forced her to bear the witness to this. Damn it. Damn it! The moment she suddenly began to cry out, the nagging air clung to the back of her throat. Her field of view began to shake and blur over, and her consciousness started to feel more and more distant. However, even so, Tomoe didn't cry. Her broken spirit wouldn't reach rock bottom. Is this something to cry about? To admit defeat? I refuse to give in until the criminal robbed me of what I had earlier is punished for this. Oh, it should be what I hold dear, not here. Whoever it was that hurt Mom and Dad, I'm certain I'll... Huh? Tomoe suddenly felt something odd about the battered storeroom on the side of the building and looked closer as she tried to remember. Then she forcefully pushed the sliding door to reveal a toolbox hidden in the back. And inside, she found a notebook bound in oil paper. Kakuichi Airport, June, Wednesday, go. That alone was written on the last page. In large text, circled to stand out.
何度見ても意味わかんないな。
No matter how many times I see it, I still don't know what it means. She let out a sigh. Back when Tomoe's family lived in Tokyo, how was her father involved with the Kakuichi Airport? After becoming a police officer, she found many opportunities to examine case records and carry out investigations of her own. But even after all that time, the mystery remained unsolved.
父さん。
Dad. She gently called out to the empty sky while prying the window blinds open with her fingertips. But she still had no idea what he was investigating there. 11 years had passed since then. Still unable to grasp any sort of evidence after all that time. All she could do was quietly bide her time. Oh. That's the end of the chapter already? Huh. I wasn't expecting that, but one thing that a new chapter.
すみません。
A brand new person to Nagisa. Huh. Let me just check for a second exactly where we are time-wise to see if it's a good idea to start this. I think it is, actually. Yeah, we should definitely start the first part of this. Yeah, we should definitely try to do a chunk of this next part here. Just so the timing can work out. Yeah. Because for the first few chapters of Tokihogushi, it's kind of timed oddly. I do, however, have to go to the bathroom for a second. I know I already did, but I'm sorry. Ah! I'll be right back, ASAP. There's a scene change in the middle of the part apparition. That is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Great. And I am back. Now, as for this Nagisa, I wonder... who this even is. Let's see. They were timid, so...
excuse me? Hi.
Yes? A girl's voice called out from the waiting room next to the reception desk. Well, there's a million, Void Dweller, there's a million flavors of coffee you can try. I'd recommend starting off with something like a caramelized cappuccino. And then, you know, work your way around that. Like something sweet. If you try a bitter flavor right away, then you'll probably be turned off it. You have to get your tongue used to the bitterness. slowly but surely. But I'd recommend starting off with a caramelized cappuccino if you're interested in trying coffee. That's my go-to. Anyway, the nurse on shift duty, Hiranuma, stopped writing a report for the fire department and tried to focus her eyes on she turned to look up.
Ozaki-san.
Oh, someone brand new here. Ozaki-san.
Konnichiwa.
Good evening.
I have never seen this sprite before. It was a girl named Nagisa Ozaki, who she had grown familiar with over the past few months. She lowered her head and hid the bottom of her face behind the bouquet of flowers she was holding in both her hands. Hiranuma had a big grin on her face when she saw that, and she responded with a friendly good evening of her own.
今日もお見舞い?
Paying another visit today?
遠くからなのに毎週大変ね。
You're coming from so far away. It must be tough visiting here every week.
いえ、
No, not at all.
私が好きでやってるだけですから。
I just really like doing it.
Nagisa said a few words to relieve the tension as she timidly looked up to Hiranuma. The ribbons on both sides of her hair looked good on her, and her slightly angled eyes were full of determination. Her looks were accented by decent accessories, and her lovely blouse presented a moderately luxurious sense of quality. It exactly does, with those frills. And as her figure fills out, it'll look even better. Excellent, clothing choice. And the plaid skirt offers a touch of class, too. She looks quite classy and sophisticated, but with the youthful air that the ribbons in her hair give her. Her expression morphed into a slightly sullen frown. However, Hiranuma had recently come to learn that this was simply a subconscious reaction from her shy personality.
浩平くんとは今お話できますか?
Can I talk with Tokihogushi now?
ええ、多分ね。
Yes, most likely.
さっき検温した時は昼寝から起きたばかりって言ってたから。
When we took his temperature earlier, he was just getting up from a nap.
そうですか。
Is that so?
よかった。
Great.
Okay, so she was blushing before when this guy was mentioned, so I guess she has a crush on him. Then Nagisa relaxed her expression in relief and looked down at the colorful bouquet in her hands. They were fresh, vividly bright pink and green cosmos flowers. The sweet smell even managed to drift through the window, and Hiranuma couldn't help but smile.
たくさんのお花ね。
That's a lot of flowers.
高かったでしょう。
Were they expensive?
いえ、
No.
園芸部の花壇で育てていたのがやっと咲いたから、浩平くんに直接見せてあげたくて。
These were growing in the gardening club's flower bed. They finally started to bloom, so I want to show them to Kohei-kun.
構いませんか?
Would that be alright?
Yeah, a girl is not going to show flowers to a guy she's not interested in. Or isn't related. Definitely got a crush on him.
ええ、もちろんよ。
Yes, of course.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
After saying that, Nagisa courteously bowed her head. Even though there was still a hint of awkwardness in her responses. When she first started visiting, she hardly said anything more than yes and no. All things considered, it was a remarkable amount of progress.
ああ、でも花瓶がいるわね。
Oh, then I have a vase.
ちょっと待ってて。
Oh, wait just a moment, dear.
持ってくるから一緒に行きましょう。
Once I grab it, we can go together.
すみません。
Sorry for the hassle.
お願いします。
Please do.
Nagisa nodded with a big smile on her face. It was a recent development for her to be comfortable relying on others like this. As she thought that, Hiranuma gave her a wink and stood up and headed into the back room. The hallway looked somewhat dim, perhaps due to the time of the evening. It was also close to dinner time, so there were very few visitors coming and going.
さっき警報が鳴ってたみたいだって1階で患者のおばあさんから聞いたんですけど。
Oh, okay, good. Oh, she was supposed to be an old lady. Okay, that's good.
An old lady on the first floor told me that an alarm went off earlier.
何かありましたか？
Did something happen?
ああ、火災報知器がちょっと故障したみたいなの。
Yes, it seems the fire alarm is having a bit of a malfunction, dear.
すぐ調べたけど、何も異常はなかったみたいだから心配ないわよ。
I checked it out right away, but there was nothing wrong, so there's no need to worry.
そうだったんですか。
Oh, is that all?
聞いてちょっとびっくりしました。
I was a little surprised when I heard about it.
私もよ。驚かせてごめんなさいね。
Same here. Sorry to scare you like that, dear. Thanks to that, Hiranuma had to visit every single hospital room to explain the situation, and only finished up a little while ago. My god. And after this, there's a meeting with a supplier that she'll have to put in overtime to attend.
すみません、忙しい時に。
Sorry to bother you when you were so busy.
うんうん、気にしないで。
Oh, no, don't worry about it, dear.
それにしても、園芸部って珍しい部活動よね。
Anyway, the gardening club is a pretty unusual club activity.
やっぱり花壇でお花とかを育てたりするの？
So you're raising the flowers in that flower bed yourself?
はい。
That's right.
母がフラワーアレンジメントの教室を開いているから、私も花が好きで。
My mother has a flower arranging class, so I like flowers too.
素敵なお仕事ね。
Well, that's a lovely job.
尾崎さんも将来はお母さんと同じ道を行くのかしら。
I wonder if you'll go down the same career path as your mother, Ozaki-san.
あ、いえ。
Oh, no.
母は大学に行ってからゆっくり考えた方がいいって。
My mother told me to think carefully about what I'm going to do after college.
あんまり儲からないみたいです。趣味の教室って。
Apparently, it doesn't make much money. She says it's more of a hobby.
The girl shrugged her shoulders, then lightly tilted her head with a bitter smile on her face. Indeed, it would be difficult for a housewife to turn a profit on such a hobby with such high expenses, unless it was a particularly innovative or large-scale endeavor. It was also a question of the times. It's natural for a parent to pressure their daughter into an educational background that will lead to a stable future.
尾崎さんも塾とかに通ってるの？
Are you going to cram school too, Ozaki-san?
はい。実は明日の日曜日昇級テストなんです。
That's right. Actually, tomorrow is Sunday. There's a promotional test.
今度上がれば学校の授業よりも進んだ内容を教えてくれるようになるから入試には有利だって。
If I do well this time, I'll be able to take on more advanced classes in school, and that'll give me an advantage in entrance exams.
入試ってまだ先の話でしょ？
Entrance exams. Is that a long way off, dear?
今からいい点を取っておけばどこに行くのでも自由に志望校が選べますから。
If I keep scoring well from now on, I'll be able to go to any school of my choosing.
高校はちょっと無理だけどやっぱり大学は浩平くんと一緒のところに行きたいし。
High school might be out of the question. but I'd like to go to the same college as Kohi-kun.
Damn, that's still gotta be tough though. Like imagining like missing going to the same high school as someone, then catching up with them again in college. Damn, she is really serious about this guy if she is playing that long of a game for him. Holy shit, jeez. Is that so? Do your best then.
I will.
In that quiet reply, there was a hint of stiffness. That was a product of the anger she felt about the unreasonable circumstances separating her from her favorite person.
でもそれなら差し出がましくてごめんね。
In that case, sorry for being so nosy.
だったら余計に毎週新幹線を使ってまでここに通うのは大変なんじゃないの？
Isn't it a lot of trouble taking the train here every week?
交通費だって。
The fare must be expensive.
大丈夫です。
Oh, it's fine.
交通費は親が全部出してくれてますから。
Yeah, she looks pretty rich.
And my parents are covering the fare.
急な引っ越しだったし、それくらいの甘えは許してくれるって。
We moved very suddenly, so they're doing it as a way of making it up to me.
へえ、いいご両親ね。
Oh, wow, you have some nice parents, dear.
私に気を使ってるんですよ。
They're always worried about me.
むしろ怖がってるのかな。
No, maybe they're scared.
私もあの子みたいになっちゃうかも。
Afraid that I might end up like her.
私が不満を抱えて爆発しないように。
Who is her, I wonder?
They don't want my frustrations to make me explode.
だから帰りが遅くなっても口うるさく言われなくなりました。
So even if I'm late coming home, they won't make a fuss.
あなたを信じてるからって怯えた目で言って。
They'll just say we trust you, with a frightened look in their eyes.
そんな腫れ物扱いに優しくされるとかえってショックなんですけど。
It's actually pretty shocking to receive such gentle treatment.
そう。
I see. As Hiranuma responded, she started to wonder if something was going on at home. Even though they saw each other face to face every week, she never pried into Nagisa's affairs. Yeah, I did use this voice for Natsumi, but I can't help it because they're both, so far, they both seem like very similar characters, very shy. Like there's these very shy young girls. So, and that's my like shy voice. This was the very first time they actually discussed it. I wonder if she has a dark side like Natsumi did.
家族に何か言われたのだろうか。
I wonder if her family said something to her. With those doubts in mind, Hiranuma opened her mouth, searching for the right words to say, but just then...
平沼さん。
Hiranuma-san?
Uh-oh, here we go. The smile disappeared from Nagisa's face as she stopped on the spot. Following her lead, Hiranuma also stopped in place and turned to her with a puzzled expression.
どうしたの？
What's wrong?
あれから浩平くんどうですか？
How has Kohi-kun been since then?
ええ、順調よ。
Right. He's been doing well.
視力も回復してきているみたいだし、退院はもうすぐかしらね。
His eyesight seems to be recovering. He will probably leave the hospital soon.
いえ、そっちじゃなくて。
No, that's not what I'm asking about.
Is he like mentally disturbed or something? Hiranuma avoided giving Nagisa's question an immediate response.
例のことか。
The incident. Then she sighed and turned to ask the girl about it.
ねえ、尾崎さん。
Hey, Hozaki-san.
この前、沢村くんが寝言で変なことを言ってたって話、本当なの？
I don't think Hiranuma was supposed to be old. God damn it. I thought her voice was old for a second there. Let's see. You mentioned that Sawamura-kun was saying weird things in his sleep before. Is that really true?
はい。
Yes.
Nagisa's eyes darted back and forth in confusion, but after a brief hesitation, she nodded and responded.
先週、浩平くんが高熱を出して寝込んでいた時です。
When it came last week, Kohei-kun was sleeping in bed with a high fever.
うなされたように、お社様が来る、助けてくれって。
Oh boy, here we go.
It sounded like he was having a bad dream. He was saying, Yoshida-sama, come save me.
私、はっきり聞きました。
I clearly heard him say that.
それについて彼はなんて？
Did you talk to him about it?
そんなこと知らないって。
He said, I don't know anything about that.
主治医さんに相談しても同じ答えでした。
I asked his doctor, but I got the same answer.
でも本当に彼、私の手を握ってそう言ったんです。
But it's true. He held my hand as he said it.
なのに、誰も信じてくれない。
Even so, nobody believes me.
Nagisa dejectedly drooped her shoulders and bit her lip. It didn't look like she was telling a lie, but she was deeply disappointed that nobody believed her. Oyashido-sama. Yeah, hopefully we won't see Natsumi in this one. So I might have to think of another voice for her if that happens, yeah. Honestly, it was a word he couldn't recall hearing before. Rumors allege that's the name of a Gardenian deity from some remote village's religious beliefs.
奇妙な話よね。
It's such an odd story.
本人が知らない言葉が寝言で出てくるなんて。
A person speaking a word they don't even know in their sleep.
担当の先生も心療内科の先生も彼の問診ではそんな言葉は出てこなかったって言ってたし、どういうことなのかしら。
Both the presiding physician and the psychosomatic medicine doctor said that the word never came up during his consultations. I wonder what it means. Oh
私が
god.
聞きたいです。
That's what I want to know!
一体どうしてなんですか？
Why on earth did he say it?
浩平くんがお社様って知りもしない言葉を夢の中で言うなんて。
Why would Kohei-kun mention the name Yoshida-sama in his sleep? A name he shouldn't even know!
ああ、ごめんなさい。
Oh, I'm sorry.
別にあなたを疑ってのことじゃないの。本当よ。
I didn't mean to doubt you like that. Honestly. Nagisa had a hint of rage in her voice, so Hiranuma tried to say something to calm her down.
ただ、本人も知らない言葉が出てくるなんておかしいと思う。
Still, I do think it's odd that he even doesn't know the word he spoke.
どこかで聞いたか、誰かから聞かされたか。
Could he have heard it somewhere? Who could have told him?
オカルトじゃあるまいし、そうでなきゃありえないこと。
I refuse to attribute it to the occult,
だから、それを知りたいだけなの。
so I just want to know why.
何か心当たりある？
Is there anything you can think of?
だったら、きっとあの子です。
In that case, I'm sure it was from that girl.
あの子が浩平くんに吹き込んだんです。
Who? I'm guessing given the summary in the beginning, is it Rena?
She must have been the one who told Kohei-kun.
Nagisa clenched her teeth with a look of hatred on her face as she said that. She squeezed the bouquet close to her chest, and a few of the flower petals fell down to the ground.
あの子って転校していったあなたのお友達？
Uh-oh, she certainly doesn't seem to be speaking of her as a friend, Hiranuma. That girl? One of your friends from before you transferred schools?
名前は確か
I'm sure her name was...
友達じゃないです。
She's not a friend!
浩平くんたちにひどいことしてあんな
She did something horrible to Kohei-kun! The girl spat that out in a deep, heavily reverberating tone. Since Hiranuma knew the history of why the boy was hospitalized, all she could do was sigh. 6 months ago. Oh my god, we're going into this? Oh my god. This was never really properly covered in the main arcs. Oh my god. This is gonna be exciting, you guys. Oh my god. This is really what we're going into. We had a school incident. The main story just kind of forgot about that. Oh my god. It looks like we're finally gonna get an answer on what happened. And I bet that guy is one of the guys that she beat up. That Kohei guy. Oh wow. A female student caused a violent incident at one particular school. It wasn't covered in the newspapers, but Hiranuma heard rumors about the horrible scene. The girl suddenly attacked her new friends after school, beating them indiscriminately with a metal bat. And one of the victims was Nagisa's boyfriend Kohei, who suffered injuries so severe that it nearly blinded him. After that, she continued her rampage through the school building, smashing the windows in the hallways and striking the lockers in the walls in the classrooms, until eventually she was apprehended by several PE teachers. Just a quick note here. It took several PE teachers to hold back my baby girl Rena. Badass! Various factors were cited as possible instigators for the incident, including stress over exams and human relations. However, since the female student never gave an official explanation to the victims, there was nothing to prove the truth. The school was also afraid of how the incident would affect their appearances, so they did their best to prevent the release of information. That wasn't just in consideration for the students, but also to keep the parents from getting upset and pulling their kids away just before exams. In that sense, it was a completely natural response. Moreover, not only did the perpetrator keep her mouth shut, but the victims did the same. And so, the incident simply became a thing of the past.
竜宮玲奈さんだっけ
Reina Ryugu-san, right?
みんな仲良しグループだったのよね
You were all a close group of friends.
結局あの子は全然謝罪も何も言わずにどこかへ転校していきました
In the end, she never said anything to apologize. She just transferred somewhere else.
先生たちに行き先を聞いても誰も教えてくれないんです
Oh god, I just realized. We're probably gonna hear from Rena in this arc. And this is also the voice I used for Rena. Fuck. I'll have to think of a new voice for her the next time she shows up.
Even if I ask the teachers where she went, nobody will tell me.
浩平くんはもう少しで取り返しのつかないほどの大怪我をしたのに
Even though Kohei-kun has suffered a serious injury that I'll never completely recover from.
尾崎さん
Ozaki-san.
許せないです今度会ったら私
Damn, we got a Yurusanai already.
I'll never forgive her. Next time I see her,
落ち着いて
Calm down.
そんな顔をしていたら沢村くんが心配するわよ
If Sawamura-kun sees you looking like this, you'll make him worry, you know? The girl took a deep breath and hung her head. Seeming to finally come back to her senses, and when she noticed the bouquet was slightly crushed, she hurried to straighten it out.
ねえ、尾崎さん。
Hey, Ozaki-san?
はい。
Yes?
気持ちはわかるけど、怒ったり憎んだりしていても、相手はもういないの。
I understand how you must feel, but even if you're feeling angry or hateful, she's already gone.
だったら、あなたは今いる大切な人のために、あなたのできることをすべきじゃないかしら。
In which case, shouldn't you focus your attention on the people who are important to you now?
その方がきっと沢村くんも喜ぶわ。
I'm sure that would make Sawamura-kun happy.
だからもうこの話はやめましょう。
So let's stop talking about that story.
ひょっとしたら何かの本かテレビで見ただけの言葉かもしれないし、勘ぐりすぎると辛くなるわよ。
Maybe you just heard the word while watching TV or reading a book or something. Thinking too hard about it will only hurt you. Nagisa responded with a faint nod. But the look on her face made it clear she still wasn't convinced. Okay, and I believe this is a good place to stop for now. Perfect timing, actually. We just hit the 2-hour mark. And there's a scene transition right here. Well, this is heading off to a really exciting start. We are going to investigate what happened at Rena's school. That was something ever since Onikakushi I've always been wanting to hear more about. And I'm so happy that this arc is going to go into it. Ooh, I can't wait for the next one! I think this is going to be better, actually, than Kagaboshi. Okay, you guys. Tomorrow is more Seabed. And for now, I will say, until next time, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. You are all the sweetest of hearts. See ya.